So back with an hour with the tower with the fabulous. Can I just say? Can you just lean forward and show everybody that lockdown's not been favourable for most?
Mate, this is 4 months. 4 months of no haircut. So we went to where did we go? We went to Hampshire. It was me, Little Dave, Jake Fish.
Yeah.
This was about 3 weeks before lockdown started, because everyone in all the different countries was saying, look, this is basically going to come to you. So we basically went to lockdown, and I just thought, Jesus, for the next 3 months, no one's going to cut my hair. It's just going to be an absolute disaster. And it is an absolute disaster, but I've made no effort to make it better. Just so you know, this is literally just as it comes out. This is nothing.
It looks good. Back to the Steve Warburton story. 2011, your first Vegas cash. I'm guessing right now you still need ID to get anywhere in Vegas because you're such a young-looking chap, and I mean that. And that's the time. You will need a passport forever. 2011, your first ever Vegas cash. How was that?
Well, I mean, this was back in the day where if I basically walked around the Rio, not playing a tournament, I was just, kind of looking for a friend or something, I used to have security guards march round all the way around and come up to me and just ask me for ID. And every time I'd say, I'm not gambling, and they'd just say, I don't, because they're really strict. Massive clubs over there. Yeah. And the amount of times that happened, so I never set foot after that. Probably happened like 4 or 5 times. I would never go into a tournament room unless I was actually playing, because I just used to get ID'd all the time. But 2011 cash, that was probably 3 years before I actually played what I'd consider proper tournaments in Vegas. I basically went to Vegas for 3 years, 11, 12, 13, and just played cash games. And I was very hypocritical in terms of everyone I spoke to. I'd say, why are you playing tournaments? Stupid. You should play cash and all this stuff. And then in 2014, I think I played the main event, and that's when I kind of really got hooked as well. I think that 2011 one was just a random rogue cash, which is probably why no cashes from that until 2014.
No, we're not going to start with the rub downs at all in the slightest, but it is part of history.
Go on.
Your biggest ever shot at the time was a 5K buy in the EPT London.
Oh, disaster.
Unfortunately,
disaster.
Unfortunately, the crowd would have been cheering, roaring, and shouting and whooping because everybody's made the money. Because Steve Warburton became that unfortunate bubble boy.
I've never ever been backed. I'm really proud that I've never kind of borrowed money. I've never been backed. But that was the first tournament that I sold action. I sold 50%, and it was I think it was my first 5K. And so, I mean, I'm really competitive anyway, but to let someone else down, that's just, I hate that. And so I think when we were about 15 off the money, I basically made the mistake of messaging everyone that had backed me and said, I'm 15 off the money, I'm all right in chips. And then I kind of dwindled down, and on the bubble I had, you always remember the hands you lose, don't you?
Of course, yeah.
Ace-king diamonds, all in against aces on the bubble. And we basically got all in. I'm thinking, oh my God, I was got aces.
Yeah.
And like the first 2 cards were diamonds as well. So I was like, well, I've basically got 4 cards. Because also this was back in the day when it was like 1 card, not just 3 cards straight out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I basically bubbled, and I was in the very far end table of the room.
Oh, marvellous.
This is a huge, huge room. And the second the river card comes down, there's guys on the mic saying, congratulations, you're all in the money. And people used to get a lot more excited back then as well.
Yeah.
I'm not joking, Tower. That was the longest walk of my life. Everyone was high-fiving. Congratulations, you've made the money. I had to shake 3 people's hands on the way out because they thought I'd made the money. So I was just going with it. I got all the way to the end of the room, and one of my pals, he told me that if you finish on the bubble, you get a free for next year. So I'm thinking, oh, great.
Well,
I marched all the way back. found the TD, and he said, "Oh no, we stopped doing that last year."
Double bubble.
So I've had to do it twice. I've had to walk through it twice.
Oh dear!
Get out! I'm going to bring everyone and say, "I'm sorry, you bet on your money." So
yeah,
you know.
But a couple of years later, you went back to London 2013, and you actually cashed. We ended up 22nd.
Redemption, kind of.
Which is pretty deep. Just under 20,000. Was it annoying not to go any further in the tournament, or was it one of those where we've just experienced a bubble a couple of years ago where everybody's opening you and you didn't want to be in that circumstance yet again?
Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird one. I kind of felt like I was going to final table, and then I just kind of lost a few key hands, and also back then you kind of get very carried away. You know, when there's 30 left, you're so convinced you're going to do well, and it's one of those. I was kind of happy that I obviously didn't bubble and I went deep, but I was kind of disappointed to not final table.
Well, you started travelling about a little bit, and then obviously the year after GUKPT Manchester, you ended up chopping it with Rhys Jones and Simon Denman.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. 39,000 for finishing third. And I actually remember.
So do I.
You actually remember you said that you'd cry if you won it.
Yeah, I remember it like it.
I think you would have done, because I think Manchester's your home, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously where I first started playing 1-2 cash, and the amount of hours you spend there, and you know all the locals, and I don't know, just I feel like with Manchester every year, I always seem to be in the mix and not really make much money based out. I'm always quite deep, and I might get a min cash or finish just before the money, and I don't know, I feel like 5-6 years ago as well, I got way more into tournaments in terms of I'd be like so invested mentally and emotionally that I remember on that last night, it was probably day 2, whatever it was, just speaking to you, just thinking, if I actually finally do this, I'll be so overwhelmed. And and it was more as well, like I've always felt like I need to kind of prove a point, maybe to like my dad, like my family.
You would also, because you've been at the EPTs and because you started traveling around playing tournaments, people started pointing and saying, "That's Steve Warburton. This guy's pretty good at tournaments," you know?
Yeah, that was a bit weird, because I'm a sort of guy who's always like feet on the ground, and I don't really get like starstruck by people, and so like for people to say that, I was a bit just like, well, I've kind of been doing this every day for a few years, and do you know what I mean? I haven't really changed, and you didn't notice me then, sort of thing. So I was a bit kind of weirded out by it almost. But that interview though, I remember it well, and it's slightly cringy just thinking about it. Watching. But yeah, and I think I actually like fell on the floor or something, didn't I? Yeah, I think I was like, oh god.
Yes, and finally for 2014, before we end this section, the World Series, we end up cashing in a side event for 3.5, but that wasn't the highlight. No, because we went and played the main event. And do you know where you finished? Will it always be etched?
I know it was under 300.
182nd.
Yeah.
Out of 6,682.
It was a good one because it was my first one.
Yeah.
It was the first time I'd ever played the Bane. I went really deep with my good friend Tim Hickling.
Mm-hmm.
He was somehow on the table next to me every day. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
And I remember on day 5, just walking in with him, and they had the music on and stuff, and you're just thinking, this is like how it used to be. You know, like I was saying before, when you first started playing, that real buzz of playing. So yeah, that was fun. But we obviously didn't go deeper than that, but it was nice to win wherever I won.
It was a very good run and a good ending to 2014. It would have been nice, obviously, because it was just, I think it was the first time it was 10 mil for the winner. So
I don't know, was that the Jamie Gold year, was it?
No, that was of course. Jamie Gold got 12, didn't he? Yeah, when he got 10 million, but 182nd wasn't that ending to 2014 for you.
And it was, you know, it was maybe 40 or 50 grand, which again at the time, even now, it's so much money to win from a tournament. You're obviously really disappointed, but to just win that amount, it's
well. Coming to the end of this episode, we will be back with Steve Warburton very soon on An Hour with the Talent.